Why it's coming out now is we wanted to wait, to get through all of the legal proceedings, the criminal trial, and it's four parts, and it spans over 30 years of pop culture, his life. So it took some time, to say the least, to put all of this together.
It's an important story, and you could just tell it with all the public material. Mm-hmm. You go further, you've gotten your hands on some extra new material people are going to see for the first time, including this video. Any journalist would want to know how you got it, but it is Sean Diddy Combs in the heat of this, right before the arrest for the trial we just discussed, in private moments, talking to his lawyer, cameras running.
He also underestimated that a lot, with every celebrity, you do have different claims, and some are completely unfounded. But I think that some of these lawsuits, there's receipts. Mm-hmm. And there's footage, and there's voice recordings. And I think that for a man, it's also very interesting, for the culture of hip hop, so many artists record themselves, and they probably, when they were, recording themselves in 2005, never saw the year 2025 and how accessible that media would be to actually make a case for things.
The documentary delivers shock after shock, presenting itself as one of the boldest and most direct examinations of Diddy ever made. It states that he is currently held at a federal facility in New Jersey, serving time connected to transportation-related charges, while also pointing out that a jury dismissed several more serious claims, highlighting how complicated the case truly is. Public attention around Diddy spiked in late 2023 after a widely reported civil case filed by his former partner sparked a wave of additional legal filings, keeping his name constantly in the news. As the series explains, these accusations have continued to grow, driving heated discussion and speculation. At the same time, Diddy has consistently denied all claims, leaving the public weighing the controversy, the court decisions, and many unresolved questions.
Hearing from Greg Kading, the detective that worked on Tupac and Biggie's case in this documentary. He is the investigator that did that proffer agreement with Keefe D way back in 2008, where Keefe D alleged that Diddy tried to offer him $1 million to take out Tupac and Suge Knight. And Tupac's trial with Keefe D is coming up very soon in early 2026. And we know that Diddy's name has been dropped at least 200 times during these proceedings.
And Puff created the atmosphere for both of those guys to lose their lives.
I honestly, when I look back on it, if he trusted Sean more, it would have been better. But he didn't trust him as much as the way Sean says they were best friends after he was dead. No, I didn't see that during the time we were.
This documentary goes beyond repeating familiar claims. It pushes the discussion further by bringing forward new allegations that have once again grabbed attention and stirred strong public reaction. According to the filmmakers, they secured rare, behind-the-scenes video of Diddy inside a New York hotel room just days before his arrest, filmed by someone who was working closely with him at the time. The footage is said to show him talking through next steps with his legal team and responding to the growing media pressure surrounding him. The series presents these moments as unfiltered and spontaneous, offering a closer look at the stress, uncertainty, and weight he faced away from the spotlight. This material is framed as a sharp contrast to the carefully managed image usually seen by the public.
Homes have now sent a cease and desist letter to Netflix.
That's right. They are demanding it not release a docuseries featuring the embattled.
It is very rare for someone to speak this openly before formal charges are filed, since conversations like these are usually kept strictly private. The documentary suggests that allowing a videographer into the room may have unintentionally revealed sensitive legal discussions, raising concerns about where confidentiality may have been crossed. Diddy's legal team later told NBC News that the footage was never approved for public use and that they do not know how it ended up on Netflix. They emphasized that the videographer was bound by strict confidentiality rules and made it clear the footage was meant to stay private. According to them, its release represents a serious breach of trust, not a planned or approved decision.
I'm waiting the whole time for Aubrey O'Day to reveal some major story that happened between her and Diddy. 3 episodes in, she's basically just talking about Diddy in a very general way. It isn't until the 4th episode that Aubrey reveals a witness walked in on Aubrey O'Day completely inebriated with Diddy doing things to her, as well as a second man who they refer to as a light-skinned, tall man. Details are very explicit and not anything I could share on here. This witness revealed that it was 100% Aubrey O'Day. It was really uncertain in watching Aubrey's reaction and kind of resharing this story whether or not she fully recollected the situation. He says it couldn't have been her choice to become inebriated because that was never her issue. She never really drank a whole ton. The earlier parts of this series, Aubrey does reveal these emails, these series of emails that she got from Diddy. They were all in very sexual nature, in a very sexual tone. He's basically asking her to come over and do certain things with him. It's these very domineering emails where he's basically setting the tone that he's the boss. She says that she felt very uncomfortable about those emails, and 6 months later, she was...
The series deepens its impact by bringing in voices from Diddy's past, including former collaborators, artists, and close associates who share firsthand views of his rise and influence in the music world. One of those featured is Aubrey Day from Making the Band, who speaks openly about her own experiences, adding important context to the story. Her perspective highlights the complex reality of working closely with someone widely seen as a major force in hip-hop. Through these accounts, the documentary emphasizes themes of ambition, control, and the complicated professional relationships that often exist behind the scenes.
Boy, we had gotten over CCNY. It looked like the coast was clear. We were renegotiating with Arista. We were about to get a step up in the money. I had 25% of the company. I didn't know why he needed to get that back from me and then give it back to me again. I didn't understand that. That's like a trick. Like, okay, here, I gave it to you, now give it back, and don't worry, I'm gonna give it right back to you. I didn't want to give it up. So he came into my office one day unexpected, him and Kenny Marsalis, they had it planned out. Kenny had the briefcase with all the stock certificates in it, and Diddy had the bat. Not like, I'm gonna beat the shit out of you with the bat, but he had the bat like, man, we got to do this. This has to happen. I didn't feel I was going to get beat down in that office, in all honesty. I got people that could jump out of the shadows in a minute. I wasn't threatened by him. What I was messed up over was the fact that I started this company with you from day zero, and now the one solid thing that you told me I had, you want to take that back and do a return to me on that at this critical time that we're renegotiating and getting a step up on the contract. When he told me it was about all of that renegotiating and that I should trust, I did, begrudgingly, angry, upset. It wasn't right. I did it. He got the stock back. I went on, tried to get over that, kept doing my job, doing what I had to do, delivering everything. And once again, I was caught up in the job. I forgot all about it. And next thing you know, we had the snafu. I was fired. And he just said, oh, okay, bye. And since he had never given me his stock back, he never said that he would pay me anything or give me anything. He just avoided me all these years. Not only did he avoid me all these years, running high and low, I went on and started working with Mary, who the three of us started.
This series raises the stakes by featuring statements from people closely connected to Diddy's past. Singer Al B, sure, who previously had a relationship with Kim Porter, shares what he says he witnessed during that time. Former bodyguard Roger Bonds also speaks, describing experiences that, according to him, changed his early positive view as he became more aware of concerning behavior involving Cassie. The scope widens further when Bad Boy Records co-founder Kirk Burroughs reflects on his former stake in the label, claiming that pressure and intimidation pushed him to give up his ownership. He describes that moment as a major turning point that led to serious personal and career struggles. This series presents these stories as personal accounts, not confirmed findings, drawing a sharp contrast between the huge success of the Bad Boy brand and the disputes, power struggles, and long-term fallout described by those who say they were affected.
With Pac's money, Pac wanted to leave, And it could be some other that was going on. But they still created an atmosphere for that. You understand that East Coast, West Coast bullshit. When Suge was trying to use the New York guys to, okay man, come on, let's make some sense of this shit. And have a meeting and sit down with the New York guys and ask for a representative for Puff to come on. Puff was mad. You see now why Puff was mad. Everybody know now why Puff was mad. That he didn't want nobody to come to the meeting because Suge was playing Pay Daddy. Suge was in there playing Play Daddy with Justin. It's crazy. I said, well, how you gonna be mad at Misa and the East Coast, West Coast? And now we see why he was mad. We don't know if Suge sent Puff those pictures years ago. We don't know that. But that's why Puff didn't send a representative when Zipman was asking him, man, let me represent, just let me know. Nah, man, F that. They trying to get a black distribution company, a publishing company, all that for hip hop artists and music. Puff and Jay-Z ain't gonna have shit to do with it. And look who get rewarded behind that. So, to answer your question, I think the atmosphere that they designed and made up led to what we know was the East Coast, West Coast war. And both of them had some responsibility in that.
Burroughs later filed a lawsuit of his own, but it was dismissed because too much time had passed. He remains involved in other legal matters today. Episode 2 then shifts focus to a detailed look at the well-known rivalry between Bad Boy and Death Row Records, a conflict that reshaped the direction of hip-hop. The series compares Death Row stars, including Dr. Dre and Tupac, with Bad Boy's roster such as the Notorious B.I.G., Faith Evans, 112, and Maze. A key point raised in the interviews is that the artists themselves were not the main drivers of the feud. Instead, several participants claim that powerful figures behind the scenes kept the conflict alive and intensified it until it spiraled out of control. Within this storyline, Sean Combs is repeatedly mentioned as a major influence, reinforcing long-standing statements from Gene Deal that industry leaders, not performers, played a critical role in pushing the rivalry to dangerous levels.
You say Suge looks over, he sees you. He looks right at you.
Yeah, he looks at me.
Okay. When he looks over at you, and then Tupac's busy getting shot. Evidently, the story is Tupac's trying to either get out
in
of
the back seat or something.
Yeah. What do you see happening inside of their car?
I seen a bullet going Suge's head. I thought he was dead. I thought he was dead.
So Orlando Vince car crossed Dre.
He leaned over on the window. We rolled down the window, popped. They would drove on my side. I would pop them. You know what I'm saying? But they was on.
The documentary argues that the rivalry between the two labels went far beyond music, growing into what it describes as a risky street-level conflict. It suggests that outside groups began loosely aligning themselves with either the Bad Boy or Death Row camps, increasing tensions on multiple fronts. Within this storyline, the series places Diddy at the center of a complicated network of connections, pointing to relationships involving Eric Von Zip, someone Diddy once referred to as being like family, and Dwayne Keefe D. Davis, a figure long mentioned in discussions surrounding New York street circles. Using recorded material referenced in the series along with commentary from former LAPD Detective Greg Kading, the episode shares Davis's personal account of events linked to the 1996 Las Vegas incident that led to the loss of Tupac. These claims include his version of who was involved and how events unfolded. While the documentary makes clear that these are individual recollections rather than proven outcomes, it heightens their impact by featuring direct interviews with figures such as Keefe D himself. This approach adds first-hand perspectives that deepen the controversy and intensify an already highly charged narrative.
I'm not gonna go into details on that one. Keep the streets on me. I ain't gonna go into detail on that.
Well, I'm gonna go ahead and read from the book.
Well,
so
let them buy the book then.
Okay. Well, I'm just gonna read this passage. The shit was on. Tupac made an erratic move and began to reach down beneath his seat. It was the first and only time in my life that I could relate to the police command. Keep your hands where I could see them. Instead, Pac pulled out a strap, and that's when the fireworks started. One of my guys from the back seat grabbed the Glock and started busting back. The first skin shook in the head, and I thought that motherfucker was dead. I had heard some stories, supposedly that Suge used Tupac as a shield when the bullets started flying, but that's some bullshit. Suge was already wounded, and he was the one that got touched. As the rounds continued flying, I ducked down so I wouldn't get hit.
Basically, yeah.
The white Cadillac, arm came out the back seat and started letting off.
What went through your head when you saw that?
They shot my name.
2008 proffer agreement, he alleged that Diddy's friend Zip Martin is the one that gave him the weapon that was used to take out Tupac. And KPD told the investigator Greg Kading that Zip Martin had a special compartment to keep this weapon in his car that he drove to Las Vegas. And in this documentary, we have Greg Kading confirming that Zip Martin did drive the same type of vehicle that KPD alleged to Las Vegas this night. And then during this documentary, we heard from the former president of Bad Boy, Kirk Burroughs, who alleged during this time, Diddy had him hiring a whole bunch of people and getting cars to drive to Las Vegas. And he is now very curious into why Diddy wanted to do this. And he said, in his opinion, he now believes that Diddy was behind taking.
The series pushes its narrative further by sharing claims from Davis, who alleges that Diddy offered money to go after Tupac Shakur and Suge Knight, who was riding in the same vehicle at the time of the well-known incident. The documentary is careful to frame these statements strictly as Davis's personal account, not as confirmed facts. Davis says the promised payment was never delivered, which he attributes to Knight surviving the incident and to the money allegedly disappearing with Eric Von Zip, who has since passed away. Presented as unverified claims, these statements are positioned as another troubling element in an already complex story. The series uses them to deepen public debate and scrutiny around Diddy while emphasizing the serious and complicated nature of the accusations being revisited.
After Pac got Puffy gave Zip $1 million that was supposed to be handed over, and Zip ended up keeping it. And I remember when I interviewed TK Kirkland, who was actually roommates with Zip at one point. They were that close. He actually said, yeah.
The Fed said that too.
He said that actually happened. Well, the story that has circulated was that after Tupac got, Puffy allegedly gave the money.
I heard
to Zip.
Yes.
And Zip was supposed to give the money to Keefe and them.
Yes.
But he never gave the money to him.
But thank God he never gave him the money, right? Think about it. If he gave the money, Puffy will be in prison now, money for hire. So thank God. It's just a true story. I'm not saying yes or no, but if he would have gave them the money, it'd have been for hire and Puffy would be locked up.
Burroughs alleges that Diddy pressured Christopher Wallace, known worldwide as Biggie, to travel to Los Angeles to promote his album despite the artist's reported reluctance. He claims this decision placed Biggie in a dangerous situation and came shortly before his death in 1997. Burroughs also accuses Diddy of later shaping the public story to make it appear that the trip was Biggie's own decision, rather than the result of outside pressure. Framed as allegations and not established facts, these claims challenge the widely accepted account of events and add new controversy to a chapter of hip-hop history that has remained sensitive and heavily debated for decades.
And speaking on the situation with Biggie, how he was the one in charge of planning this London media trip for Biggie that he was supposed to be on the night that he was actually unalived. Kirk Burroughs claims Diddy is the one that canceled this trip and Biggie did not want to go out to Los Angeles. And Kirk Burroughs feels like Diddy should be responsible for what happened to Biggie. What Kirk Burroughs alleged next is what's really chilling. He said something that we have heard alleged many many times, and he said that Biggie was actually leaving Bad Boy Records shortly before he passed away. Kirk Burroughs alleged that Biggie already signed the paperwork to get out from underneath Bad Boy. Then Kirk Burroughs went on to allege that after Biggie passed away, Diddy came to him and told him to change the terms in the contract that Biggie signed. And he claimed that he was so calculated that he told Kirk Burroughs to just switch out the middle pages. That way on the last page, Biggie's signature would still be there. That way Diddy could allegedly...
Kirk Burroughs goes further, claiming that Diddy and Biggie were not as close or supportive as Diddy has often portrayed. He alleges that Biggie's safety was not treated as a priority, directly contradicting the long-held image of loyalty and brotherhood between them. Presented as Burroughs' personal perspective rather than verified fact, these statements offer a troubling alternative view that challenges the carefully crafted public image of their relationship, adding depth to the documentary's exploration of power, reputation, and responsibility.
LA so soon, knowing that Tupac got killed 6 months earlier.
The award show season was up. We had to go out there to participate in that. We had records that were nominated. We were a budding, launching company that already launched, and we were successful. We could not go, but Biggie did have an inconvenience. He had a car accident. I think it was in Brooklyn, maybe downtown Brooklyn. He had a broken femur at that time, and he was recovering from that. Big-sized person, could not really sit comfortably in a plane, not even first class, with a cast on. It was uncomfortable. He was talked into going to the LA portion of the trip so that he could be out there ahead of time. He was out in LA so there wouldn't be a big rush and bustle to get him there. So I think he was out there for a good week and a half ahead of time leading into the event. So being out there, we came to follow up and to have that night. And then he was supposed to, as per Arresta's marketing department, Arista, one of the best labels and distribution companies that you can have to back you, the legendary Clive Davis, who's backed so many artists, believed in Bad Boy so much, he put together a marketing campaign that was never seen before that campaign, and still wasn't seen, but it was put together so that Biggie could receive an international press junket in London with all press from around the world meeting him that Saturday, Sunday after the Friday award show night. He was supposed to go on an international flight with me. We have the itinerary still to this day. He was supposed to leave that early morning, go to London, and we would be out there for 2 or 3 days, and then he would go back to New York and go home. Diddy called Sean P. Diddy, whatever his name was during that time, called late Friday night, early Saturday morning, saying he's not going to London. Call Arista, cancel it. You go. You represent it. You go. He's not going. He wants to stay here in LA.
Kirk then went on to explain that Diddy pulled the budget for Biggie's security on purpose, so he would be left undefended.
You have a budget for everything that you do. The budget for Big in LA for the award show ended that Friday night, Saturday morning, when a new budget started to get him from LA to London, where he would be taken care of with security, his friends, and everyone that he wanted to be with him in the style that he was accustomed to handle the press junket. When that didn't happen, that budget was never opened. The budget for LA ended, and there was a great need for security that Saturday night, and he was out without that security. The beef up. And we lost him. And in that decision, what it put us in, that decision put us in the worst situation that we could have ever been in. We lost our number one talent. We're on a West Coast where we're surrounded by enemies who told us not to be here. We really shouldn't have been there, but we were. Now we have to get out of there. At that time, I brought most of the company with me. I had a lot of interns, young people. I had to account for them with their parents. We had to get them home. that weekend, I think we had to get Sean out first. 1, 2, 3 steps in the trunk of a car, moving out the city limits to another airport on that flight out. I stayed until Sunday-ish or so, making sure all the interns, all the executives, every last one of the kids that was out there with us was back east. And then we had to make preparations for Big's family to know where he was at, for them to make preparations to bring him back home a week or so.
Adding another layer to the controversy, Biggie's mother has publicly shared in past interviews that she believes Diddy may have had some involvement in the events surrounding her son's death. She has spoken from the perspective of a grieving parent, not as a legal authority. Her comments bring deeply personal and emotional weight to the story, increasing public attention on events that have cast a long shadow over hip-hop history. While framed as her personal viewpoint rather than confirmed fact, her words add to the complexity of the allegations and highlight the lingering questions surrounding Biggie's legacy and the influential figures linked to it.
Oh, hi, Gene. How are you?
All right, man. You know I ain't seen you since I came to your house and had that conversation with you. How you been? You all right?
I've been okay. I've been watching you on Facebook.
I'm sorry, Ms. Wallace. I'm sorry I had to do what I had to do, but you know, it is what it is.
Okay, I know you do.
Thank you, Ms. Wallace. Like I told people, I said if Ms. Wallace would have called me and told me to shut it down, I would have shut it down. Ms. Wallace ain't called. She knew how to get in touch with me. If Ms. Wallace didn't tell me to shut it down, I'm going to keep doing it because I respect you, Ms. Wallace.
Do what you do.
First thing I said was, Ms. Wallace, if you tell me to stop, leave Puff, stop, no, I didn't say leave Puff. If you tell me to stop doing what I'm doing, I will. She said, no, G, I watch you. You keep doing it. You doing a good job. You, man, listen here. Yo, I was happier than one of them boys at a Diddy party. I was so happy, man, it was crazy. Cause this was the first time I had talked to Ms. Wallace since the last time I talked to her and was telling her about Big's death.
Diddy has consistently denied all the allegations presented in the series, and those denials remain his main defense as public scrutiny grows. The documentary highlights that if even one of these claims were widely accepted, it could seriously damage the carefully crafted image he has built over decades, revealing vulnerabilities rarely seen by the public. Presented amid uncertainty rather than confirmed facts, this moment represents a pivotal point where his reputation, legacy, and public perception are all at stake, with potential consequences far greater than anything he has faced before.
Getting into what happened with Biggie. And Greg Kading alleged that Diddy wasn't helpful at all in the investigation into what happened to Biggie. We saw a lot of different records being put on the screen where it said he did not want to give any more info at this time, and this was at the hospital where Biggie passed away. And I also noticed this document that flashed on the screen that was from investigator Russell Poole. And Russell Poole said that he called Miss Wallace to update her on the investigation and that she was frustrated and angry that no one had been arrested for her son's unaliving. After bringing her up to date on the case and explaining our frustration with the lack of cooperation from Puppy Combs, Bad Boy Entertainment, plus Biggie's own entourage's lack of further assistance in the investigation, Miss Wallace calmed down and understood the situation. Greg Kading said in this documentary he believed that Diddy did not cooperate with Biggie's investigation because it would have led investigators back to him with Tupac's unaliving. I always remember the saying that when you solve one of their cases, you will solve the other, and that's why I honestly can't wait.
Diddy has consistently denied all the allegations presented in the series, and those denials remain his main defense as public scrutiny grows. The documentary highlights that if even one of these claims were widely accepted, it could seriously damage the carefully crafted image he has built over decades, revealing vulnerabilities rarely seen by the public. Presented amid uncertainty rather than confirmed facts, this moment represents a pivotal point where his reputation, legacy, and public perception are all at stake, with potential consequences far greater than anything he has faced before. Diddy has consistently denied all the allegations presented in the series, and those denials remain his main defense as public scrutiny grows. The documentary highlights that if even one of these claims were widely accepted, it could seriously damage the carefully crafted image he has built over decades, revealing vulnerabilities rarely seen by the public. Presented amid uncertainty rather than confirmed facts, this moment represents a pivotal point where his reputation, legacy, and public perception are all at stake, with potential consequences far greater than anything he has faced before.